Mic check, 1, 2. Hello, everyone. How you guys doing? Listen, we're gonna be real quick tonight. We didn't have really a guest or someone to bring on tonight, so just kind of took a break from that. But I was talking to somebody earlier, and we were talking about selling and sales, and I thought it'd be cool to come on and just talk about sales, right? Because they were of the belief that they're not a salesperson. I'm like, dude, you've been selling all of your life, right? So, I've been selling a product or a service for I don't know, about 20 years now. And so, but outside of that, I've been selling, my ideas. I've been selling, wanting to stay up later or, not having to clean up my bedroom, etc. I've been selling since, since birth almost, or since I could talk. So I wanted to come on and just kind of talk about the sales process. Just talk about selling, period. So if you are someone that your career is important to you, you better figure out how to sell, because you have to be able to sell yourself to move up that ladder. Same thing when it comes to if you're a business owner, if you can't do two things really, really well, you're in trouble. One is marketing and the other one is sales, right? And so today we're going to take some time. We're not going to deep dive. I'm just going to hit some high levels, and then at some point in time, if you're interested, we'll deep dive a little bit later. But this is coming from about 20 years of selling investment products and services, selling software, and just various other things. Hey, somebody said, "Hey, Rod, I don't know who you are. You can put your name in there, but hey, what's up? Hope all is well." If you have questions, and I want this just to be a hey, what's up, Antoinette? How are you? I want this to be just a conversation, man, about sales. Would love your feedback. Would love for you to share your experiences. So this is kind of based off of my experiences, and we're going to talk about the things that are important when it comes to sales. First and foremost, people are real anxious to talk about their product or talk about their service. I see this all the time. They just want to talk, tell how wonderful, how great their product is, how great their service is. A really good salesperson, they don't do a whole lot of talking, right? They ask more questions than talk, and I'll be specific about different areas of the sales process, when and where that's important. But if you're talking more than your prospect, that's a problem. Um, Yeah, that's a problem. And when it comes to today's environment, when it comes to selling our products and services, there are just so many different platforms, right? So we got the internet, we got IG, we got Facebook, we have all these different platforms. But if you're selling like enterprise solutions, you're probably talking to someone, face to face. And a lot of the stuff that I'm going to talk about is talking to someone where you're selling, some type of enterprise solution, and you're talking to that individual. You're talking to them either, on a webinar, on a Zoom call, or you're talking to them face to face. Whenever we can do that again. So it's going to be important that you just kind of pay attention to the signals, because in the process of talking to someone face to face, because these same things, they apply if you're doing sales on the internet, if you're doing sales on some type of digital platform. So let's just kind of dive in real quick. And if you have questions, please ask your questions. Hey, what's up? Somebody else said, hey, I can only see certain names I can't. So I'll show you, for example, that just says Facebook user. I don't know who that is. So hello, that says Antoinette. So I can see who that is. But if you have specific questions as we're going along, please feel free to jump in, ask questions, right? So we're talking about sales. We're talking about you selling your products, your services, that, something that if you're not good at that, you need to find somebody that is good at it. But I'm going to help you become good at it. First and foremost, stop talking so much. Stop talking so much. You have to listen to your customer, right? So the first step before we even get into, the sales process is marketing, right? And what marketing does, it does two things. It gives you exposure, and then it also identifies people that are interested in your stuff, right? So, and we call those leads. And we want people that are qualified leads. We want qualified leads, meaning we want people that have a legitimate interest in purchasing our product or purchasing our service. So that's a whole nother conversation. And I'm fast forwarding you up to the point where we're actually selling to those individuals. So step number one is the first conversation that you have with someone. And the mistakes that I've seen people make in that first conversation is, number one, they try to sell them in that conversation, right? So your first conversation or your first call should be, almost like you meeting someone that you want to date, right? Because you should be, the sales part, you should always be selling. But in this process, I have to get to know you. We have to establish a relationship. We have to establish trust. So my first interaction with the person, the one thing I don't want to do is give off this energy of I'm desperate, right? Because if you're pushy and if you're desperate, just think about it. If I'm pushy, I will push you away. So I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to be desperate. I want to be calm, cool, and collected, because the reality is we're having this conversation for a reason. And I might even ask that question, like, why are you here? Why are we having this conversation? Because I want to dig deeper into having an understanding of, what their needs are. So that first conversation, I might even in that first conversation, the only purpose of that conversation for me may be to get acquainted with that person, for them to get acquainted with me. Because the reality is I may not want to do business with them. I may not want them to buy my product. I may not want them to buy my service. Because keep in mind, and my boy Lynch Hunt, he has this thing where he doesn't want certain people wearing, his merchandise, because he's like, you're representing me. And if you don't look fit, and if you're not working hard to become fit, then, I don't even know if I want you wearing my merchandise. Right. So for some customers, all customers aren't good customers. And so you may be, during this first call, this initial conversation, you may pick up on some signals that says this is going to be a problem. I'm going to ultimately lose money on this relationship. So that first call, that initial conversation, is all about filling each other out. It's the first conversation that you've had, that you're having with the person that you think you're going to date from a business standpoint, and you're walking down the path of establishing a relationship. I might even use that first call to basically schedule another appointment, right? So I might use that first call to schedule another appointment, because also what I want to do during the sales process is I want to get them, I want them saying yes to me as often as possible. So if we have a call and we just talk about, we talk about the industry, we talk about the opportunities, we touch on products and we touch on services, but I'm certainly not trying to sell them in that first call. And then I said, tell you what, let's set up another call, or let's set up another meeting to talk about this, this, and this, where we'll go into more detail. And they go, okay, when do you want to do it? So that's a good sign, because I got my first yes. I got my first commitment, from that first interaction. So again, I'm trying to understand who they are. I want them to understand who I am. I want them to get a feel of if they even want to work with me, because another reality is we work with people that we like. Right. I know people that, I've driven past gas stations to go to the gas station that has the clerk in there that knows me and that I've seen for the past 5 years. Right. Because I like the individual that's there, or I like the owner of that thing. Right. So we do business with people that we like. So I need to see if I can like you and if you can like me. All right. That's that first stage. So the next stage is, in my opinion, the most important stage. And that stage is the discovery stage. So let me tell you about the discovery stage. And again, we're talking about the sales process, right? And if you have questions, please feel free to ask, anything that you want to put in the chat or what have you. You shoot a question down there. So when it comes to the discovery phase, this is where you have to become skilled, in my opinion. Right? Because keep in mind, you're really not selling a product, and you're really not selling. What's up? I don't know who that is. Says, hey fam, back at you. You're not selling the product. You're not selling the service. At the end of the day, you're selling the value of that product and you're selling the value of the service. And the only way that you're going to identify what the value of that service is to the individual or to the business that you're selling to is asking them questions. So in this discovery phase, and many people, again, they skip over taking the time and pausing because they are so anxious about telling the individual how wonderful their product is or how wonderful they are or how wonderful their service is, right? And so you want to spend some time understanding why the value of your product is going to be a huge benefit to the individual. So let's talk about how you go about doing that. So in this discovery phase, what you want to do is you want to ask questions. You want to ask really good questions. And I'm going to tell you some questions that I don't care what the situation is, you always have to ask, right? So first and foremost, you have to understand and identify what the value of your product is. And the value, there's a collision, right? And the collision is where, and this collision equals value. And that's what you have, right? Or what you're selling. That's what they need, right? And then the problem is going to solve for them. So it's what you have, what they need, and the problem you're going to solve. So when those three things collide, what comes out of that is the value that you bring. Okay. So if you are selling features and functions of your product or your service, you're missing the boat, right? So I'm not going to sell the brake in the car. I'm going to sell the brake as a lifesaver. I'm going to sell, it saves lives. It can save your life. That makes sense. So I'm not selling the brake. I'm not selling the steering wheel in the car. I'm selling the ability to control this 4,000-pound vehicle with this one tool. That's what I'm selling. I'm not I hope you get that point because it's key. So you're not selling the product. I mean the feature or the function. You're selling the benefit of the feature or the function. And typically what people really, really value is they really, really value time, right? They really, really value money. And those are just two big examples. So, and it's really not, you don't save people time, right? So people refer to saving time all the time. So it's not that you save people time, but you can basically increase their amount of time to go do things that serves them or benefits them, right? So like we have a service with our software, and what that service is revenue cycle management. And so what that means is we become the billing department for the company, okay? And so almost all the time, somebody that's in the billing department for that company, they go, I'm gonna, y'all are gonna put me out of a job. And so the response to that is always, and this is a real life situation. I had a conversation with a prospect, and one of the people in the meeting was the billing manager, and she said, "You're gonna put me out of a job." And I said, "Well, no, I don't think we're gonna put you out of a job." And I said, I asked a question because again, in sales we ask really good questions. I said, "What could you do with an extra 20 hours a week?" And before she could answer, the CEO said, "Oh, she can work on this accreditation that she's behind on. That's what she could be doing." So we're not going to replace you. We're going to free up some time. We're going to give you more time to do things that are very, very valuable for your organization. I hope that makes sense. So in the discovery process, I'm trying to determine the things that you value the most, right? So here's some examples of some discovery questions. So I might ask someone, if we're talking about whatever the product or service, and you can use yours, for example, you ask them, what are your must-haves? What are your must-haves? What are your must-haves, right? Because they're going to tell you they're going to tell you what their must-haves are. They're going to tell you what it has to do this, and it has to do this, and it has to do this. So what a good salesperson does in the discovery process is, so when they say it has to do X, you're going to say, oh, okay, you want it to do X because it brings you this value. And they'll be like, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I want them thinking value. I don't want them thinking widgets. I don't want them thinking I can print this report, because the majority of the products and services that you guys are selling, somebody else is selling it too, right? And so it's like a loaf of bread. It's almost a commodity. So what's going to separate you from the other person is how you go through this discovery process and how you ask these questions. And so you might ask, what are your must-haves? And then you're going to associate the answers to a value proposition, to a value point. Not, oh, okay, yeah, yeah, we can print that report, or yeah, we can delete that field, or yeah, we can take that picture. Well, what's the value of being able to take the picture? What's the value of being able to delete that field? What's the value of, the alpaca crocheted scarf? What's the value of that compared to, because a scarf, when you boil it down, a scarf is a scarf. And then if you're selling alpaca scarves, and I see James Penn on here, James Penn is selling alpaca scarves, then so what's going to be the difference? The difference is you taking the time to understand why they even want alpaca. Why do you want alpaca versus wanting wool or some other, some other fabric? So it's so important during this discovery process to ask, really, really good questions. So that's one of the questions. What are your must-haves? Another question is, this is the question that everyone has to ask. And for some reason, people are uncomfortable asking this question. Everyone has to ask this question. And the question is simply, and this is during the discovery process, right? The question is simply, what will it take to earn your business? What will it take me to earn your business? They're going to tell you. Most people don't even ask that question. What is it going to take for me to earn your business? Why is that question important? I'll tell you why. I'm glad you asked. That question is important, just like all of these questions, really, but that one is really important because it's going to give you an agenda to why you deserve to win the business, right? So after you go through all these discovery questions, you're asking them, what are your must-haves? And they tell you what the must-haves are, right? And you ask them, are you the decision maker? Or who are the decision makers, right? And they tell you who the decision makers are. And then you ask them, um, um, especially, here's another great question. If they're using the service already by another vendor or by someone else, ask them, what are they running away from? Because if they're talking to you, they're considering using another product or using another service. So ask them, what are they running away from with the person that they're currently, or with the system or the vendor that they're currently using? What are you running away from? That, I promise you, people aren't asking them. Your competitors aren't asking these questions. I promise you, they're not. So ask them, what are you running away from? So another question. So in essence, when I get through all of this, and at the very end, I say, so tell me, what will it take for me to earn your business? I've asked all these questions. They've given me these answers. I've logged these answers down. And then they're going to tell me what it would take for me to win their business. By the time I get to the technical spot that we're going to call the close, I've been closing the whole time having this conversation. But when we get to the very end, and really, we'll talk about that. But when we get to the very end, they've given me an agenda. They've given me some things I can just check off. And you said these are your must-haves because it brings this, it adds this value. Okay, yep, I can deliver that. You're the decision maker. Okay, that's good to know. I might ask them also, when are you looking to make a move? When do you want to get this new product or this new service started? Yep, I can deliver by then. I will ask, well, what are you running away from? When I'm running away from poor customer service, I'm running away from them not doing what they say they were going to do. I'm running away from them nitpicking at prices, constantly, raising their prices or constantly nickel and diming me on their prices, right? So at the end, again, they've given you an agenda. And as long as you can satisfy all those things and they like you because you establish that rapport in the first step, that first call step, it should be a wrap. It should be a wrap. But if you don't take the time to go through this discovery step and understand what's important to them, then it's going to be a problem. A lot of times we say we got a great product, we got a great service, and we built it for a specific, reason, or we built it for a specific customer. But I've been in meetings. I've been in meetings where we assumed that the customer, this was going to be a complex sale, and then when we asked the question, so what's important to you, or what are your must-haves? They had 2 or 3 must-haves, and what I challenge you to do is when you go through this discovery process, this discovery section or stage, and they give you answers to the question, then I want you, when you present the product or present the service, just respond to the things that they said that they must have, or the things that they said are most important to them. Imagine that. So now you cut your presentation down, significantly, because I'm only going to talk about what you told me are the things that are most important to you. Imagine doing that. Most people want, because they want to talk about all these other features, all these other, gadgets, and all these other functions of their product or their service. But what if you just narrow the conversation down to the things that are important to them? I promise you that would make huge dividends. Let's see. Somebody asked me, is this the same for e-commerce? E-commerce is a little bit different, but because the time when it comes to e-commerce and this discovery process happens in your marketing, because you want to make sure that the people that you're putting your ads in front of, the people that you are talking to or communicating with, you've vetted them early on in your marketing process, right? And so the leads that you get, they're qualified leads. And again, that's a whole nother conversation. I promise you we'll have that conversation at some point in the future. Let's see, we got any more questions. Yep. What are you running away from, James? You got to ask that question, man. So if they're talking to you and you know that they're using one of your competitors, ask that question. What are you running away from? And they're like, huh? What do you mean? Well, we're sitting here talking about you possibly using my product or you possibly using my service. Obviously, there's something you don't like. When I find out what they don't like, that's going to be like one of the things that I highlight that's really good about what I'm going to offer at some point in the future. All right. So we talked about that first call, that first conversation that you have. That's where I'm going to build rapport. I just want to see if you like me. I want to see if I like you. I want to see if we want to work together. Then we're going to go through this discovery process where we have a series of questions that we ask where they're going to give me the agenda to my ultimate close. And also, I can tie what they say they want to the value that I'm going to communicate also at some point in the future. The next step is the feedback step, right? So when I went through this whole process of discovery and understanding questions or asking them questions and understanding their answers and trying to understand the value or trying to associate the value to their answers, I want to give them feedback from what they said to me, right? So, in presentations, they say let me see if I can get this right. You want to tell them what you're going to tell them. You're going to tell them, and then you tell them what you told them, right? So similarly, I think I hope I didn't botch that. Similarly, when you go through this discovery process and they give you all this information because you ask really good questions and you let them do the majority of the talking. By the way, let me tell you why also psychologically, why that's strong, why that's powerful. Psychologically, especially entrepreneurs, it's people period, but especially entrepreneurs, because entrepreneurs like to talk about their business. One of my mentors shared with me about having meaningful or being a good conversationalist. A lot of people say they go to parties, they just kind of stand around, they don't know what to say. Well, the thing to say is ask someone a question about themselves. If you spent 15 minutes talking to someone, and you personally spent 3 minutes talking, and they spent 12 minutes talking, and your 3 minutes was all asking them questions, and then them giving you answers, and then you asking another question about the answer, and just kind of doing this. When they leave, they're gonna be like, "Oh my God, that was an incredible conversation," simply because psychologically they spent this time talking about who themselves. So in this discovery process, right? In the sales process or in this discovery stage in the sales process, that's what you want to do. You want to ask a lot of questions so they can do the talking, and they can give you a whole bunch of answers. Same thing with consulting services. Somebody has a question up here. What about consulting services? It's challenging talking to someone into spending a few thousand on a survey or research. No, it's not actually. I have a really good friend who who that's what she does. She does exactly what you just described. And some people pay her $200,000 a year for research, right? So if you don't take the time to understand the value of the research that you're providing for them, then it's going to be very difficult for them to equate X amount of dollars to the value, or your prices to the value. The value, she does a really good job communicating the value of this research that she provides. So again, it's back to value. And how do I get to the value? I have to ask questions, right? And so a lot of times, we want to be, the I guess the expert in the conversation, or in the relationship. But I think it starts with asking questions and understanding what the value is. And then, because that's what they're paying for. They're not paying for your research report, or they're not paying for your, what do you call it, your survey research. They're not paying for that. They're not paying for your survey research. They're paying for the value of the survey research. They're paying for the value that if they understand the respondents' answers and the trends of the respondents' answers, how that can translate into dollars and cents for their organization. That makes sense? Hope it does. So that's what they're paying for. So yeah, if you come to me and say, "Hey, I want to sell you some survey research," I think survey research, I think a report, and then you say $5,000, I'm good. Because what you don't want to do, and I tell my guys this all the time, what you don't want to do is you don't want to turn over to the person that you're talking to. You don't want them to try to establish the value of your products or your services. You don't give them that power. You are the one that's going to help them determine what the value is of your product, your service. Because if you say survey research, I think survey research, okay, that's good. Ask a bunch of questions, get some research, give me a report. I'll pay $1,200 for that. Right? So you gave me the power to determine how much that's worth. Right? Versus you asking me some serious questions about how this research is going to impact my business or impact my life. Right? So when you get to that level, then yeah, the value, the equation changes totally in their minds. And paying you 5,000 or 10,000 or whatever for your research it won't be hard at all. Matter of fact, it won't even be a sale. And one of the things you said here, you said talk someone into spending, right? I don't want to talk anybody into spending anything. I want to show you the value. I want to show you how it's going to change your life. I want to show you how it's going to give you peace of mind. I want to show you how it's going to save you or increase your time, and I want to show you how it's going to increase your bottom line. If I can show you I'm not gonna push you to do anything. Now, if you're not astute enough to go, oh my God, you just gave me, you gave me 30 hours a week, you gave me a ton of peace of mind, and something I don't have to worry about anymore. And you added 10% to my margins. What? They're not astute enough to go, oh my God, yeah, I see the value. Then I don't think you want to be working with that person anyway. All right. So we're talking about feedback. Jump to the feedback stage. So the feedback stage is basically where you went through the discovery process. You got all these answers. You communicated back to them the value tied to their answers, and then they're going to say, "Yep, that's it," or "No, that's not it." It's important for me to get that feedback because I may have missed it in the communication. I may have missed it in the interpretation, right? So it's important for me to get that feedback, go through that process as well, because I want to make sure I understood completely what you said. Again, I don't want to assume anything, because again, I'm at some point I'm going to put together a proposal, and I want to make sure I don't want to put something in a proposal that you look at it and you go, this has nothing to do with what I said. It has nothing to do with my business. So that feedback portion is really, really important. So let's kind of recap real quick. First stage is what? That first conversation, that first call. We're going to build some rapport. I want to see if I even want to work with you. I want to see if you want to work with me. I might even that whole conversation may be, hey, let's set up another time to deep dive a little bit more so I can ask you some questions. And they go, yep, okay, good. I got a yes. That's a good thing. Because I'm always selling. I got a yes. That's a good thing. So now we're moving on to the next step, which is the discovery part. And that's where I'm basically going to interview you. I want to know everything, about why are we even having this conversation. And I want to assign a value to the answers that you give me. And then the next step is that feedback, where I'll regurgitate the stuff that we talked about to make sure that I understood what you said. All right. The next step is the demo. So now, if I've done a good job up to this part, right, where I'm going to demonstrate my product, the demo, when I demonstrate my product or demonstrate my service, the demo is basically confirmation of the stuff I said, up to that point. So we're having a conversation, and you said, "Well, I need this car to be able to do, I need to go 0 to 60 in 1.4 seconds." And we're talking, and I'm like, "Yeah, we had a client that wanted the same thing, but when they got it, they found that the fastest time I think they clocked was 1.4." Right. And so I'm along the way, I'm making some statements about our capabilities. I'm making some statements about, because they're asking me questions as well. Right. So when I get to the demo part, when I demonstrate the system, a lot of times people think the demonstration is the thing that's going to sell the customer. They think the demonstration is the thing that's going to sell the customer. The demonstration should be the confirmation of what you said up to that point. Let me say that again. The demonstration, the demo, should be the confirmation of what you said you could do up to that point. So I told you I could do this, this, and this. I told you the car could go, from 0 to 60 in 1.4 seconds. Now let's jump in. And then we're going to go 0 to 60 in 1.4 seconds. I told you, and the demo is like, oh, wow. So now I told you what we can do. I tied it to value. I tied it to the things that are most important to you. I tied it to the problems that we need to solve for you. And then now I'm just going to show you that I can do it with demo in this product, with demo in this service. Don't let the demo be the thing that you try to use to sell the product or the service. Again, during this demo, well, first of all, if you haven't done the discovery part, you really don't know what to demo. So you're just going to demo the product. And then again, the features and the functions of the product, I am, at being the prospect, will attach a value to it, right? If you haven't taken the time to understand what my needs are, the things that I have to have, the things that I must have, the problems that I have, what am I running away from? If you haven't taken time to do that, when you get to the demo, you're just going to be showing me your features. You're going to be showing me your functions. You're going to be showing me the scarf, and you're going to be showing me that product or that service, and then trusting that I can equate a value to it. You're going to trust me to equate a value to your hard work and your dedication to what you've created. Right? No, we're not doing that. So the demo is simply, I'm just confirming what I already told you we can accomplish, what I already told you we can do, what I already confirmed that we can do based on the things that are important to you. So that's what the demo is. And if you did the first few steps right, you then only have to demo the thing that is important to them, or the things that are important to them. That's all you have to demo. I promise you, that's all you have to talk about. Everything else is gravy, is icing on that cake, because these are the things that are important to me. You know, my mattress is lumpy. My mattress is, when it's hot, it's real hot. When it's cold, it's real cold. My mattress is too small. My mattress is too thin. My mattress is this, and this. And so you've told me how you're going to solve all those problems for me. And so now when you show me the mattress, you're gonna say, get on this thick, cool, comfortable mattress. Now you're just confirming all of the stuff you said you could do. It should not be the thing that sells the product or the service. Let's see, any questions? Wow, the demonstration only confirmation of yep, exactly. It should only be the confirmation of what your product can do. Let me check, see if we got any questions in here. What is Nicole? Yep. What are you running from, Nicole? Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the pain point. Question, problem. That's a big word, Nicole. I didn't do that good in school. Problem. Yeah, that whatever that AGITATE word is. The problem, solution. Provide the solution. PAS. Absolutely. Y'all are smart. Y'all are smart. I'm preaching to the choir. So we got through the demonstration, right? We got through the demonstration. How much time? How long have we been doing this? Like 36 minutes. All right, we got to hustle. So, because I didn't intend for this to be this long. So now we did the demonstration. It's just confirming what you already said you could do. And then the next step is the proposal. Proposal is just a written version of what you said you're going to do. Just a couple things I'll say about the proposal. Really, really simple. First of all, do it. Right. A lot of times people don't do a proposal. One of my guys on our sales team, after every single demonstration, when he gets to that point, he sends out an agreement, a sales agreement. He sends out an agreement so they know exactly what the investment is going to be, not what the price is, not what the cost is, what the investment is going to be. So you're going to talk to them about the investment that they're making into their business, or into their their enterprise, or into their person, right? It's the investment. So first and foremost, do the proposal. I recommend that every single proposal has a discount in it, right? People just psychologically like discounts. What that means is, it doesn't mean that you're going to discount from the price that you need or the price that you desire to bring in. You're going to discount from another price, right? So if on a regular day your product costs $100, well, today it's going to cost 120, but I'm going to discount you 20 or whatever that number is to get down to $100 or your desired amount. I recommend every single proposal have some kind of discount, because there's something along this process that we went through that made me feel like, you know what, you're a good guy. You're having some struggles during COVID. You're this, you're that. You deserve a discount, right? You deserve a discount, right? Now, and I'm talking about the other side of my neck when it comes to discounts. What you don't want to do is give away the farm, because your value is your value, right? Your value is your value. When it comes to your price is your price, period. People value things that cost them. I put a post up today that says, people that pay attention. Your price is your price. So I'm when I say a discount, this is just a psychological play, right? But you're not going to give away your product. You're not going to give away your service. You're not a not-for-profit organization, right? Unless you are. But if you're for profit, you're for profit. You're not for profit. So that's what I mean, right? So make sure that your price is your price, and you stick with your price, and you stick with your value. And you have to listen. It's easy, right? Especially if you're not making a whole lot of sales, to say, okay, I'm gonna discount this because I need a sale. I want a sale, right? Over time, that will not serve you. What will serve you is sticking to your guns on the value, the price of your product or your service, and finding the people that value your product and service that will pay for it. That will serve you over time. In the short run, yep, you'll have some sales if you discount your product. But also think about it this way. This is how I think about it. When somebody like says, Rod, I want that, but I want it for this price. You're giving them power to devalue your product or devalue your service. No, You work too hard. You know what's in it. Now, if it's trash and it's really worth that discounted price that they're asking for, okay, you might sell it for that discounted price. But if you know it's not trash and you know that not only are you going to deliver this product or this service, but you're going to deliver some intangibles as well. They're paying for your experience, especially if you're in some kind of consultative role or coaching role or something like that. They're paying for your experience. They're paying for your knowledge. They're paying for that. They're paying for that blood, the sweat, and the tears. That's what they're paying for. In addition to that thing that you're bringing them, right? That additional value that you're bringing them. So don't skimp on your price. I don't know how we got on pricing, but it's important. So we're talking about proposals. Make sure you do the proposal. The proposal, again, is just a summary of what you're proposing to them, and again, and the prices, etc. How much is, how much the investment is going to be for them. Absolutely, that's a great pin. That's a great point. Price is only an issue in the absence of value. Absolutely. Do not. So here's another thing. Let me say something about. Well, I'll say this when I get to the close. So we sent the proposal. The next step is to close. And then for me, you should have been closing the entire process. You should have been closing the entire process, because every time I get a yes, every time I get a commitment, because after one thing I didn't say, I should have said, at the end of each one of these stages, I need some level of commitment, right? So when we finish the demonstration, I'm going to send you a proposal. I need you to review that. Can we have a meeting on Friday to go over the proposal, to answer any questions that you might have? I'm trying to get some level of commitment. So the close is simply a commitment to buy. That's all the close is. Now, there are tons of books on, how to close, some of the things you should say when you close. But if I've been getting commitments all along the way, the close is simply the commitment to buy. And they understand why we've been walking through all of these stages. We're walking through these stages. So at some point you buy. So it shouldn't be a mystery to anyone. We shouldn't, dance around it, but we should ask them, one question I ask them all the time, I ask prospects all the time is, what day do you want to start? What day do you want to begin? And then here's the other thing about, getting to the point where, they commit to buy. Once you ask them that question and they say they need to think about it, first of all, I don't care how good you think you are, nobody's going to spend a week thinking about you, right? So the response for me is, if someone says I have to think about it, that means I didn't do something right. That means I left something out. That means I need to find out, okay, what didn't I do right? What did I miss it? So if anybody ever tells me I got to think about it, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't do my job. What information don't you have to make this decision? Right? Because there's no reason for you to think about it if I did a good job, because I covered every single base. You wrote the agenda for me. I provided the value for you. Here's the proposal. It's within your price point. Another question that you should be asking in discovery is, and I'll tell you a real life story, is that question is, what's your budget? Right? So we're working on a deal, and it was going to be a pretty sizable deal. And we're like, but our price was going to be higher than any customer, any deal that we've done. The price was just going to be ridiculous. I'm kind of looking at this like, there's no way they're going to pay this. And I said, but before we, go back and before we assume that, let's just ask them what their budget is. So we asked them what their budget was, and the budget was 30% higher than what we were going to charge. So naturally, what our fee, our the investment increased by about 30%, right? So keep that in mind. So now we're in the closing phase, and the closing phase is just getting a commitment to buy. What I'm not going to do, I'm not going to allow you to not give me a commitment to buy my product or my service. You do not want to be you want a yes or a no. You do not want to be in the place where they're going, I need to think about it. I'm not sure. The yes tells me that I did everything right. That's what the yes tells me. The no tells me that I missed something. I didn't do something right. There's something that I don't have. Maybe I can go get. But now if you tell me no, I can deal with a no. I can handle the no, right? Because the no says to me that there's something that's missing. There's something that's just missing, or you don't like me, or you don't trust me, or you don't believe me, right? So I can deal with the no. I don't want to be caught in that space of I'm not sure. Let me think about it. Again, I don't care how great you are. Nobody's gonna be thinking about you. Nobody's gonna be thinking about you over a weekend. Nope, it's not gonna happen. So I want to make sure that I get them to a yes or I get them to a no. And no's aren't bad, people. No's are not bad. No's just means I have to do more work. They're not bad. It just means I have to do more work because we've walked through this entire process. I've laid it out for you. And there's no reason for you to say no unless you've lied to me. Or again, I didn't do something. I remember we used to have I was a wealth manager, and we would have secret shoppers come in. There are a lot of um, you know gosh, I can't even think of the word now, but requirements or disclaimers you had to give someone who is looking to invest money, right? If you're helping them, because you need to let them know that you could lose money. Da, da, da. So they would have secret shoppers come in to make sure we're doing the disclaimers and just check out our sales process. And so I went through my sales process, very similar to what we just described, what we just talked about. And I got to the end, and she's a shopper. She's a secret shopper. And so she said, "Well, no, I don't think so." And she actually wrote this in the report. It was hilarious. And one of my responses to her was like, "I can't believe it." And she was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, I was in awe. I was like, "What do you mean no? What do you mean? Wait, you said, right?" And back then, and a lot of things aren't as face to face anymore. But back then, I would take a sheet of paper and I would turn it around and say, "Hey, so let's walk through it." I would ask the discovery questions, and then they would write the answers. So now you just gave me an agenda, and so I satisfied everything on your agenda. What do you mean no? And so you have to take that attitude, because when you do, it lets you know, or it lets them know that, hey, you paid attention, you understood. There's something's missing. I just didn't do something right. So when I get to the close, I'm trying to get a commitment of a yes, or I'm trying to get a commitment of a no. That's all closing is. Is getting to a commitment, and there are different techniques and there are different strategies. The biggest, and then maybe what we need to do, not tonight, but handling objections is really really important, because it's not like you're doing Jedi mind tricks. Is someone they have a legitimate objection to why they don't want to purchase your product or your service, but you need to be able to have legitimate answers to those objections. So maybe we'll do one on handling objections at some point. Um, but yeah, so that's pretty much it. That's the sales process, y'all. That first call, we're going to build rapport. We're going to build some rapport. We're going to do a discovery stage where we're just going to ask you questions because I want to understand, what you really need. I want to understand what your problems are. Discovery questions: what are you running from? Why are you leaving them trying to come to me? Because I might not want them, right? Because if they've bought the same product or service, you know, 5 times in the last 4 years. Excuse me, 5 times in the last 4 years, I might not want them. So, got to go through that discovery process. Feedback is when I'm going to tell you what you told me. Make sure I didn't, nothing was lost in communication. Um, After that, I'm gonna shoot you. We're gonna do a demo. We're gonna do that demo. It's just a confirmation of all the stuff I already told you. I'm not using the demo to sell. I'm not using the demo to get the sale, to get the deal done. I'm using the demo to confirm all the stuff that we said we could do. And then I'm going to shoot you a proposal, and then we're going to get a commitment to buy, one way or the other. Tell me yes, tell me no, but don't tell me I don't know. I need to think about it. I need to figure it out. No, don't tell me that. All right. That's the process. What questions do we have? What questions do we have? So that's what we really jumped on here tonight to do, to just kind of walk through the sales process. Any questions, comments? Make sure I don't miss any questions in here. Somebody said that discount process always feels shady. That's interesting. I really wish I could understand what you mean when you say the discount process. feels shady. If you're still on, shoot another comment to tell me what that means. Yep, your value is your value. That's what somebody said. What else? What else do we have? Great information. Glad you thought so. So yeah, man, y'all. And we'll talk about at some point in time. We'll talk about like digital platforms, selling on digital platforms. The key with that is basically getting the right person to your message. That's the key with digital platforms. That's the key of selling online, is getting the right person to your, because you don't have the ability to do a lot of the stuff that I told you. So you have to make sure that, well, why pretend we're giving them a discount? It's just a psychological thing. When someone tells you they're giving you something for 50% off, most margins, right? Especially in retail, right? And I say retail because this time of year, that's what's popping. Retail is what's popping, right? When people say they're giving you a 50% discount, and most retailers that have small margins, say 10 to 30% margins, can they afford to give you a 50% discount? Nah, they can't, right? So it's just a part of. So it's not shady. The reality is today the value is $120. Because I like you, I'm gonna bring it down to $100 because I like you, right? And then if I really do like you, yeah. If I don't like you, maybe I'll leave it at 120. What's crazy? So today, I'm glad you brought this up. So today, I had a call with a prospect, one of my sales guys, and we had a prospect on the line, and so he said he priced we do revenue cycle management. We take a percentage of the money that we collect for them for their insurance claims. So we go do the billing, we go get the claims, we collect as much as we can, we become their billing department, and we charge a percentage of what we do. So in this case, based on the amount that they bill, the rate should have been, the rate is on the cusp of being 6% versus 7%, right? And so he told me how much they billed after we had the meeting with the lady. And so he's going to send over a proposal because she asked for one. And he is giving, he said, so he told me how much they were billing. So I looked at our kind of our matrix, and it said, oh, we should probably be charging her 6%, but it's right on the cusp of 6 to 7%. And so he said, well, I want to offer, I already talked to her about 7%, and she's perfectly okay with 7%. And so the question is it shady or whatever word, or, and this is kind of the reverse of the discount, right? To give her, because she saw a value when we told her what the investment was. She was like, yeah, that matches my value. So she was perfectly okay with it. So we just need to, should we have gone with the 6%, or should we stay at the 7%? And I felt comfortable staying at the 7% because there was no smoke and mirrors. She knew exactly what it was. So I was comfortable at that point. So, when it comes to pricing, comes to sales period, here's the other thing, and I'll end with this. Somebody said, because there's a psychology of sales, it's not as simple as exchange of goods and funds. Absolutely, I agree. I'll end with this. Sales, in my opinion, it makes the world go round. Nothing happens until there's a sale. I can't hire anybody until I sell something. The people that work in operations or that support the organization in an administrative role can't afford to pay them. Nothing happens until a sale happens. So a lot of people, for whatever reason, I know the reason. There are many reasons. So I'm not gonna pretend like I don't know the reason, but a lot of people, they don't see sales as a noble vocation or profession, right? And that's if you're in direct sales or if you're not in direct sales, right? You might be working for a company and I've actually, patronized businesses, and the people that aren't in sales, even especially in restaurants, they try to figure out ways to lower your bill, right? And that's That's cool, I guess. But and they because they feel bad about how much your plate of food is going to cost you. And I'm thinking, why do you feel bad if I'm willing to pay that? Right. And it's because sales has, had, bad people have had bad experiences in sales processes without a doubt. But it's all about the intent. So if you have a strong company, if you intend to do good business, then sales, man, it's a noble profession. You have the ability to go sell a bunch of stuff, to make a bunch of money, to serve a bunch of people. Because the money you make, you're going to go spend that money in other people's businesses. You're going to use that money possibly to employ someone. You're going to use that money to, send your kids to college. So sales, from your psychology of selling stuff, be good that you're in sales. Be good that you have a business where you have to make sales. It's okay as long as you're not lying to people, as long as you're not hurting people. If you don't do any harm, whatever you sell something for is good. It's good all the way around. Great example of that is, I think it's Nipsey Hussle. Nipsey Hussle sold a mixtape for $100 one time. Most mixtapes are free. He sold one for $100. I think he sold 1,000 copies. 1,000 people saw value in that mixtape. A bunch of people said, "Oh my God, I'll never pay that much." They just didn't see the value, right? So the 1,000 people that he sold it to for $100, they saw it. They got the value. And so I would venture to say, spend more time on the people that have spent $1,000 on the mixtape versus the people who think something's wrong with that. All right. That's it. That's all I got tonight. Thank y'all so much for jumping in, jumping on. Most CEOs come from a sales background. True that. If you are in business, you are in sales. Period. Somebody said great analogy. I don't know who you are, man. You don't have your names up here. But so thank y'all. I think JC bought 100 copies because he supported the vision. Okay, voila. Jay-Z bought 100 copies, so he sold more than 100 copies. But thank y'all, man. Thank y'all for joining. Thank y'all for joining the group, man. Thank y'all for being a part of the group. Listen, it's real simple, man. We're trying to change the lives of people. Period. We're gonna lead them. We're gonna lead them to the water. Now, everybody got to drink on their own, but we're definitely gonna lead them to the water. And so I appreciate you guys. Make sure you share the video. Make sure you share the group with people. If this helped you out in any way, tell people about the group. Encourage people to be in the group, man. Add content. Yeah, you guys post some incredible content. So please keep doing that in the group, man. We love you. And with that, I'm going to say good night and peace.